Hi, that Paul guy. Today we're going over our summer 21 updates. We're going to kind of go over what's been going on, what I've been working on, what I'm going to work on, and kind of what I got abandoned. So stick around. Hopefully something will interest you. Okay, so the first things first, and we'll cover the elephant in the room first. The spider bite. For those that have been kind of following along and seeing a couple of these updates, I got bit by a brown recluse back in November of 19. Yes, about a year and a half ago. And at first, I wasn't sure what happened. I had just gotten sick. I thought it was like flu-type symptoms. And then I started to see the wound or the sore itself or the bite itself. And yeah, it just went chaotic from there. By the time all the necrosis had finished setting in and all that, we had a wound that was about 11 centimeters by 12 centimeters that was about 4 millimeters deep. And that's about the thickness of 3 dimes. So it was a pretty big wound, and it would not fit underneath a gauze bandage, 4x4 gauze bandage. So I'll show you guys what it looks like today. I did have a little bit of a skin break because I was trying to use some compression on that leg to make sure I still had good circulation and blood flow. It's not bleeding. It's not causing any problems. It's healing quite nicely, and I'm not having any kind of issues from it whatsoever. So nothing to worry about. But finally, after a year and a half, we're done with this ordeal. To give you guys an idea of what it did look like, I'll kind of put that in a red outline. That's approximately where it was, and it was quite big. It took a long time and 2 skin grafts and an infection and a bunch of other stuff. And I'm eternally grateful to not only my sister, who's a nurse practitioner here in Florida, but the folks at Advent Health and the Wound Care Center that have seen me through all this and gotten me through to where it is now. And I am a ton better. I never thought personally I was in danger of losing my leg, although I might have scared some other people. But it was something that I did have to. It took constant care, and now I can be a little bit more free with it. I can go to the beach, I can go to the pool, I can do whatever, and things are very, very good, and that is all out of the way. It's something that even though I did not get to see the spider or catch the spider, it's one of those things where there's only one type of venom that does something like that in North America, and so we are. I would have to say 98% sure, 99% sure that is what happened. That's the only thing that would do that. So it's all done and over. It's been an ordeal, but now it's finished. So I'm very happy. And thanks for all the folks that did reach out and were concerned and all that stuff. I really do appreciate all the love that I got. A couple things, social media. I've got a little bit of other social media out there, and I do mention it from time to time. But one thing I will kind of plug is buymeacoffee.com. It's a place where I've got a blog that doesn't really have to do with tech so much. I am trying to stay, I don't know if, it's one of those things I'm considering. Should I go back to it or not, or should I add tech into it or not? And I don't really know. But if you get a chance and you just want something that's kind of, I don't want to say mind-numbing, but if you get a chance, follow the link, go check it out, see what you think. Leave me any kind of comments. I'd love to hear somebody's feedback and know if this is something that maybe I do need to sprinkle some tech in there once in a while. I don't know. So don't be afraid to go check it out and see. Some of the things that have been recently finished, my editing rig, recently got that done and got all the lighting and got all the setup and fans and everything and the way I wanted. Originally, when I swapped over and started using this Corsair 4000D case, I was using a set of black SP120 fans from Corsair that were RGB, but I had those in there and an AIO, and I have swapped all that over to all white and taken up sort of a teal type color aesthetic, and it looks really, really nice, and I'm very happy with it. So it's got an Asus X570. Asus Prime X570 Pro motherboard in it, running with a Ryzen 7 3700X, RTX 2070, and yes, I have not been able to get a hold of a direct replacement for that video card because of the shortage that we're dealing with, but the card I did get went into the next build, and that was purely just a gaming build, and that's got the X470, it's got the Asus Prime X470 Pro that I took out of this machine. I put it in there. It's got a 3600X in it, and it went ahead and got that RTX 3060. So both of them have similar performance. I'm not going to say both of them have the same performance. Obviously, this one has more cores. It's a better editing rig. I'm very happy with both of them. And now I've got something I can do editing on, and I've got something I can put in the other room and game on, and be very, very happy doing it. So I was glad to get those out of the way. And obviously I've done some other projects and all that stuff along the way. There are some major projects that I have going or coming up. One of them is the build on that the Gigabyte motherboard that I showed you guys, that X570 motherboard there. And yeah, it sounds an awful lot like I'm dealing with AMD, but you know what? It's been the better board recently. I don't want to deal with Intel's 11th gen, and I didn't really want to even deal with Intel's 10th gen. So I picked up and have made good use of the Ryzen platform over the past couple of generations, and it's done great, and so that's what I've continued to do. That Gigabyte X570 motherboard, we don't know what all is going to go in it, but it's going to go for a friend of mine's computer, and so I'll take you guys along for the ride. We'll show kind of the build, and we'll do the benchmarks, and turn it over to them and see how it all ends up. It's the case that they've picked out is a really cool case that's going to work really well with that Fusion 2.0 lighting, RGB lighting that Gigabyte has. So I think we're in good shape there, and it should be pretty fun. So one of the other things I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be testing the 3600X that's currently in the gaming rig against the 5600G that I hope to pick up on August 5th, testing those against the 4600G that I took out of the HP pre-built. As we found out, if I take that 4600G out of that HP pre-built and I put it on one of my Asus motherboards, she runs like a scalded dog. She runs great. So I have no doubt that HP pre-built is kind of holding back some of that performance. And so I'd like to be able to test that against that 3600X and also the 5600G when it comes out. So hopefully I can lay my hands on that. We'll pit those three against each other and find out which one is the best CPU. Now, the 4600G and the 5600G are both also, they have graphics processors built in, but I also kind of want to look and see what the graphics difference is between the 4600G and the 5600G to see what's going on there. I don't have really high hopes, but I mean, I want to test them and see, especially in these times where it's still very hard to get a graphics card. I think it'll be a fun test, and we can check it out and see what's going on there. Also mulling over doing something with the old HP pre-built that I had. You guys might remember this, that I got a hold of a HP from 2008 that had an old Pentium processor, or an old Intel processor in it, and we upgraded it with a Q6600, which is a 4-core. We put things, cleaned it back up, got it running. She runs great. She does run, but I might have the opportunity to go ahead and turn that maybe into sort of a sleeper build. I think that would be pretty cool, because the case itself, I mean, it's still a cool looking case. For case sake, but it would be really cool to put maybe something else in there to and find some way to air cool it to really kind of make a sleeper build out of it, which makes me kind of wonder what I'm going to do with Danny D. Danny D is my current small form factor. It's the one I take with me when I go on vacation or on the road if I have to do any editing, or if I decide I want to play games or anything like that. Danny D right now is in a Cooler Master case. It's just a small cube type case. I want to think it was like an E130 or E120. I'll put it up on the screen if I remember what it was. But it's just a small form factor. But maybe I'll take some of the parts out of that and put in the sleeper. Maybe I'll just upgrade that. I don't know. So those are two projects that I might have coming up that might be worth kind of watching to see what I can do, especially if I turn that old HP into some kind of a sleeper. I think that would be pretty cool, and that way I can actually maybe leave that one at my sister's house when I go up there. I go up there probably once a month or once every other month, and it'd be nice not to have to lug computer stuff back and forth, even though they're small like Danny D is. It'd be kind of nice just to have something set up waiting on me already. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Some of the things that I abandoned. Unfortunately, there are a couple of those. I abandoned one project trying to compare the 4600G with the 4300 or 4350G, or the Pro Ryzen 3 Pro 4350G or whatever it was. I got one of those. I tested it a little bit. It worked out pretty well, but I was going to compare it, the 4600 and the 4350, against each other to kind of do a head to head, and I kind of ended up maybe abandoning that project a little bit. I was going to put them both in that HP pre-built, the new HP, the newer HP that I bought from Best Buy, and I was going to kind of see if the 4350 would hold up as well as the handcuffed 4600 did, and I never got around to going back and doing it. And what piqued my interest again was when I ended up using the 4350 in the new Gigabyte board, because it's not ready and not set up for 4600G. And by the way, I don't think it's set up for the 5600G. We'll have to see if there's a BIOS coming out. But so that kind of renewed my interest, because some of the numbers and benchmarks I was getting from the 4350G weren't that far off from 3600X that's in the gaming rig. And so I thought, well, maybe that's not such a bad processor after all. Maybe I ought to look at those. So those are not completely, I mean, they're on the back burner. They're not completely ignored, but I did kind of abandon them. If you guys want to see something about that, feel free to leave it in the comments. Let me know. Find some way to hit me up and kind of tell me, and I'll pick it back up. I mean, I'm always looking for content. I'll go back and check them out again. Both of them are pretty decent processors, and now, especially since we can't find graphics cards, I don't mind checking them back out again and seeing what we can do and where we can push them. The other thing I kind of abandoned was the Raspberry Pi. I did a couple of videos. I played around with it a little bit. There didn't really seem to be any interest at all from people watching on the channel, and so I pretty much just I played around with it a little bit, and I set up a little web server, and I just never got back to it. It's something I was very excited about at the time, and then the more I got involved in other things, the further back on the stove that got, until I just turned the heat off and it just stayed back there with, maybe the old thing of popcorn. I would love to pick that back up again, but that's, again, going to have to depend on you guys. If you want to see something like that or that kind of content, or you want to see me explore with the Raspberry Pi again, I've got a very good friend of mine, Dave, in California, that can help me set a few things up. I would love to do like a VPN server or something of that nature, or maybe a couple other projects. And I know that I can probably ring his bell a little bit and ask him a couple of questions. He'll be able to help me out with it. But if there's no interest, then I'm still going to do it, but it won't end up in a video. It might on maybe another social media, I don't know, but it won't end up here unless you guys let me know it's something you might be interested in. So that's about it. That's what we got going on. That's what we've accomplished recently. That's what we've got coming up, and the things that I have ignored. And like I said before a long time ago, I was going to show and share the fails with you as much as I was the successes, and some of those abandoned issues, or some of those abandoned projects also fit into that mold. So sharing that with you as well. So that's pretty much all I got for this time, folks. I just kind of wanted to update everybody on what the deal was. So if you don't mind throwing a like on it, I'd appreciate that. It always helps with the YouTube algorithm, as does subscribing. So hit that red subscribe bar. That's awesome. If you didn't like the video, you can go ahead and throw a dislike or a thumbs down, but let me know why, and so I can fix it next time. Leave me any kind of comments. Don't be afraid to reach out and let me know what projects you might want me to work on, or if you've got something else that's related to this that you might want to see. I'd be glad to take a look at it. And don't forget to hit me up on the other socials. I'm going to try to do a better job of being all around and trying to my goal is really to hit 2 videos a week on YouTube and make sure that it's content worth watching. So hopefully I can do that. But so we'll see where that goes, but ride along with me, okay? And until next time, that's all I got. So I'll see you later.